All right. Dispute of AOW test will be on abatement deadline.
You saw that one was in an email, I think.
Right. So basically, the owners of the camper, this is from, fiscal year 2022, so we're beyond abatement deadline. She reports that the camper was registered, therefore, if the camper's registered, she would not, fall into, needing to be taxed for the camper. But the, assessing did not see that the camper was registered, or didn't have proof of that, and they also send out a, 706A each year for personal property for people to, complete and send back. So basically what, Lynn at, Cumberland County Assessing said that she spoke with the lady and she told her that, that we were far past the abatement period and that there was nothing that they could do about the past due amount. Rob, the assessing agent, legally could not abate the tax bill per state statute, and that she had them on the mailing list for 2022, so a letter as far as assessing was concerned was sent, and that she also believed that in that particular year a second notice went out as well, which is something that's not typical. Unfortunately, she had no control over the postal service after it leaves the building, but she did confirm her mailing address and told her that the 706A and a copy of the new registration is due every single year. And if they don't receive the 706A request, to reach out to them. So that's what she was advised.
So, we haven't had any conversation directly, that we would do that.
She spoke with Sarah, and she said basically that she never received any mail.
Do we have her, Gordon, wait a minute, oh, there's Jennifer, is that the one?
Yep, and there's her telephone number there.
So, could you call her and just see if she's got any proof of having registered the vehicle?
Yep.
For the period, any question?
So is your, position, all three of you, that if she can send in a registration, that you will waive that personal property tax?
You know, that's
Okay.
the rules of how we can do that, but, you know, I don't need to beat somebody up if they've done it, if they can prove it.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I know why Cumberland County wouldn't do it, and I applaud them for it. That's why we hired them. Play by the rules instead of fairy stuff. Good.
all right. 29 Timbrook Road Disorderly House Ordinance violation. Have you got enough on them?
I sent out an email just before I come over here, but here's a draft. It's going to be a tricky business, but this is a list of violations, and there's some more that I'm supposed to be getting from Cumberland County, mostly more detail, I think. But in the period of June 1st to early September, I think there was something like 5 or 6 incidents at that house that ended up in an arrest. And by our definition, an event that ends up in an arrest is a violation of our ordinance, disorderly house ordinance. And then there's a bunch of incidents, people running fights over a camper, calling police. Those people, you think that would be the last thing?
I don't want to do it, yeah.
Because usually what happens is the first thing that happens when the police go in is they look for a missing person or somebody with an arrest custody in a restaurant.
Yeah, sure.
And bundle somebody off and take them down.
This thing came out on another home.
Yeah, very good idea.
But, so, I don't know if you've read the details of the ordinance, but it requires us, the three of us, to set as judge and jury.
Mm-hmm.
I have not read the ordinance full, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
You should do it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to, yeah.
But, what it says is, when we believe that there's been a situation where the ordinance has been, violated, in other words, there's been 3 or more incidences within a 60-day period, that meet the criteria, we send a notice to the housing owner or, the housing occupant, and we set a date and hold a hearing here, and we get, whoever we think we need to, support our case, and they can come in with their lawyer if they want and defend themselves, and at the end of the hearing, we decide whether there's been a violation or not. And if there has, we can levy fines, and, but the interesting thing is, the way it's written is, this is not the one that's gonna really get them. It's the next violation. If you've been found guilty in the next one, then it really gets serious.
So the police are called.
For one more violation, I think it's, we can condemn the house. In other words, cease and desist. And that's what,
Legally, you took that to the point of,
it's been looked at by the lawyer and everything, so,
so
yeah.
it's been.
They don't even own the house.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah.
But, that's why I drafted the letter, is the copy of the letter will go to the mortgage company that owns the house.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll get their attention that maybe you can lose the house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But we've worked this one a long time because there's been a lot going on. I got a stack of stuff this high, but it's never broken the, 3 incidents in a 60-day period. It's been 2 or 3, and 2 or 3 more, but it's.
A lot of times they're just looking for somebody too.
And a lot of times they're looking for somebody, but,
Yeah.
when they show up, they don't show up with a police cruiser, they show up with 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And that's very disruptive to a neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
And most of the people that are there that come to be arrested are not residents. I don't know that they're any official guests or not, they're just there. So, anyway, that's a proposal of what I do. I'll get some more information in the next few days, and we can try to solidify it next selectmen's meeting as to the way forward. But we really just need to try to address it,
Mm-hmm.
if we can. And that's why we have the disorderly house ordinance, is to try to address these things.
Sounds good.
All right, Bridgeton Road Burn Rally complaint, mass gathering ordinance and event permit. Yeah?
So when we went to the,
Yeah, let's get these,
when we went to the, site walk for the marina, one of the people, bent my ear, it was kind of a sidebar meeting, and I said, if something's going on over there, send an email, and evidence, whatever, start gathering information. And so this, I think, is the first one where somebody has actually written an email and taken pictures. I looked at the mass gathering ordinance samples. The state has a mass gathering statute. Is it addresses any gathering with 2,000 people or more. I looked at, a couple of towns' mass gathering ordinances. The state statute says municipalities can be more stringent. You know, this is kind of like the minimum, if the municipalities want to do something more stringent, and, the ones I've seen are, they get down into the neighborhood of, 500 or 600 people. I don't know, looking at it, it's hard to structure something like that to address a crowd of 30, 40 people that might gather over there on a weekend for a day, and then not come back for a while. But there may be another way to address it, and it's, to get a permit, the way to maybe require a permit for those items, to maybe amend, the land use ordinance to address too much noise,
Right.
I don't know. Do they need, safety issues? Some of the people that talked to me said that there's no real safety there. You get 2 or 3 of these vehicles spinning around, with a lot of weight flying around, and a wheel falls off or something.
I've seen pictures and they look like they got Jersey barriers
Yeah,
all around.
but, whether that's sufficient or not, do they have, medics there?
That's right.
What I've been told, I haven't been down there to see it for myself, but I've been told that they have an ambulance staff on site with extinguishers
They do.
and occasionally a fire truck.
What?
Not a Volvo truck, but,
With their own fire truck?
I think it's a Standish truck and a Standish ambulance. I don't know about the fire truck, whether
I've seen
it's
the
their own or
ambulance.
what, but I know that they've said in the past that they've hired an ambulance service to come down and, for their events, for their major events.
But I think it's something that we can look very seriously at regulating. Both from the point of safety and also from the point of nuisance.
I think,
I mean, I was over on Sand Pond, fishing with my grandson, and I could hear it. Well, I'm thinking, is that just somebody closer by spinning their tires? But it went on long enough, so I thought,
Yeah.
this is,
I can hear it at my house, it's very faint, and I can
yeah.
see the smoke, but I'm up on the hill there too. I think DEP ought to be involved.
Yeah, well,
I also think that this donation they're asking for,
Yeah.
I'd like to see if somebody can get in there without paying, and if that's allowed. I'd do it myself, and then I'd be accused of stalking, setting them up or something.
anyway,
I guess they're gonna
we
have,
asked for evidence, we've got it, so now we gotta think about what we're gonna do.
yeah, I think they have another one down to 2 trails coming right up. I mean, that's right on, yeah, this is, Gary's Facebook page.
Oh, great.
You guys are doing, used to be the restaurant? Okay. I wondered what they were doing with that.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be a, Mexican restaurant.
Oh, okay, it is gonna be a restaurant.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's
they have
no
a burn
place
pad
right
there in the
there,
middle of
but,
the,
So it used to be the old 113 route,
right?
and then before they put it around.
They got a childcare center right there.
Yeah. Yeah. They've
so
done
where
it
can they do that then?
Right
There's no
there.
real place.
right there in front of the restaurant. They've done it before. You go driving down through there, and you can't see because of all the smoke. It stinks, so. I mean,
Well,
it's
how-
it's like,
What people do for fun.
yeah, I know,
But if the smoke blocks people's,
vision from,
vision while they're driving,
right,
I mean, there's a stoplight there and everything by the time they rear end somebody because they can't see.
yeah. I would think that they'd be liable for that.
Mm.
You know, the people that put it on, not too reliable, right?
Well, like I say, I've got a couple of examples of mass gathering ordinances from smaller communities, and I'll, look at them again and see if there's somebody could reasonably make it work. You know, mass gathering, you know, if you had 40, 50 people, it would still be a big crowd, I think, there.
Right.
With people all bringing their vehicles to spin out all day, and it doesn't really, in my mind, get to the definition of a mass gathering, but it's not a, you know, Sunday afternoon barbecue with a bunch of friends either.
Well, that's, I was
Right.
thinking, you know, the flip side of that is people that are holding family reunions or weddings or
Right.
things like that, they're gonna, you know, how does that
Well, you don't
work?
wanna catch them up in that, and that's what I say, is that,
Mhm.
that's what we struggled with the disordered house ordinances, how to keep it loose enough so that we don't get overly into a police state, so to speak.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a wild ball when you start to tell people what they can gather for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially on their own property.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for doing what you want on your own property.
The problem is when you're making noise and disturbing the rest of town.
Right, yeah.
Is there a noise ordinance in place for all of this?
No.
Nothing like that.
It's hard to regulate.
Because I think you
Yeah,
have to have
same thing.
studies done, right, in terms of like decibels and
Right,
all that kind
yeah.
of stuff.
Right.
But I mean, I think you don't have to have noise level issues addressed. I think you can address it from the point of view of being a nuisance.
Like with barking dogs,
Yeah.
how
Right.
frequently, the
Exactly.
duration. You know, like one of the neighbors that was affronted by it, she said that if she knew that it was gonna be set dates, then she would make arrangements to be someplace else.
Right.
She's not saying that they couldn't do it, but it should be somehow governed so that there's a permit or whatever, and she knows that it's going to be on a particular day.
Right.
Fireworks.
Right.
Yeah, Joe.
It seems to me that really what we're talking about is noise. Nobody's bothered by 40 people getting together and talking to each other.
Right.
That and smoke.
That and
And the smoke. So, and, you know, I've heard complaints about noise down through the years. And we always end up saying, oh my God, how do we prove there's noise? You know, that's what
Right,
it
yeah.
comes down to. I wonder if that wouldn't be really what we should pursue looking at, because people know they're in the wrong if they're making a lot of noise. You know, they know.
Yeah.
But people don't know they're wrong if they're having 40, 50 people over for a barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know to come to the town office.
Right.
You know, they,
Right.
you know, how do we address the noise?
Mm-hmm.
And you're being a nuisance.
Yeah, you know, it's.
When your neighbors notice something.
And you know, I have my breakfast out on the porch. This morning at 7:15, somebody ran Senator Black Road squealing their tires the whole way. Must have woken up anybody who tries to sleep late. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a complaint, and there's probably only one person involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but 30 people, 40 people, 100 people getting together peaceably having a party, I got no problem with it.
Yeah. As long as they don't get too loud or too rambunctious.
It's the loud, I mean, you said it right
Right,
there,
right.
you know?
I can't prove it, but I think it's this guy.
It could be. Yeah.
His, trucks broke down right in front of the fountain.
Maybe he lost his engine.
yeah.
I'll teach him.
It's the pickup truck that I've heard about all the time, and,
Yeah. Up my way, we got a white Chevy pickup truck that's doing it.
Oh,
Around
that
the
is, yeah.
telephone pole up there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. If you, right there at the intersection, the mountain road and Wigan Road, there's a telephone pole in the middle, and they go around the telephone pole. And it's a white pickup truck, white Chevy pickup truck. You know it?
No.
I don't know.
I know it's on my truck, it won't do it.
I wouldn't wanna do it, I mean, tires cost, expensive.
Well, I'll do some more research on it, see if I can find some examples of how other towns
Yeah.
deal with it.
The first one they had, I know, I was coming home from Home Depot, and I come through East Baldwin Village, and I said, where the hell is all this smoke coming from? And the wind was just in the right direction, it can blow right down through East Baldwin Village. But then another one they had, I could see the smoke, and it was blowing off into the woods, over to Gilman Hill, which is out of the way, you know, so depends on which way the wind's blowing too. I know, we got complaints from people over Sebago that heard it, so off Long Beach, I know. You would think that.
That's a bit of a stretch.
It is,
But again, it goes back to which way the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
True, yeah,
I mean, you hear that with people that live near racetracks and,
Mm-hmm.
right, yeah. All right. Next thing, Saddleback Road conditions, concern, and Brown Road flooding issues. I think that's what you people are here for.
We just came here tonight, old Chris, he's working like a madman up there trying to fix it.
And I'm sorry for hounding you.
But, we get the video, I watched Brown Road literally flood again last night.
Yep.
Right from the start, I stood in front of my house, and I watched the water come down Brown Road. I watched the water go across my feet. Before I knew it, I was standing in like, it seemed like 8 inches of water. And then it was in my driveway, taking my driveway out. And Chris, he just replaced one culvert, and it was working, it was violent. I mean, it was really cranking the water too under the road, but.
Yep.
So I got my pickup, and I went up, I guess Scott Estes, is it, Chris, Scott Estes? No, not to pick on Scott, but there's a brook that comes out of the woods there and crosses into a big new culvert that Chris put in, and it feeds his duck pond, and he's got it blocked off. And I'm going down in the woods under Scott's duck pond, and you literally, where the water comes out, you're looking up at his lawn at the top of the pond. He's got it all built up with timbers and dammed up, and I guess he's got a pipe in there for drainage. So last night, that pond, we got a video of it. It was, the water was coming out of the corner of that pond and heading right down Brown Road, just like the stream feeding it.
Mm-hmm.
It was violent, it was bad. So we brought the video here tonight, I don't know if you guys wanted to see it.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
see it. But
Kinda dark,
I've,
so I
I
got
don't
the
know,
flashlight working.
waved my neighbors and helping me or whatever, but
Wait till it's not.
that pond's gotta go. When it's walking the natural stream, and it's just gotta be busted open and let the water go through. I mean, it's getting fed a lot of thousands of gallons a second.
But I'm trying to get the.
Has he made it bigger, cause that's been there forever? Has he made it bigger, cause that's been there?
He made
forever?
that bigger. Back years ago, I was gonna buy that house, and it was just a round puddle, but the brook went through the lawn.
I'm trying to fight.
And my first instinct when I saw the home was, well, I'm gonna put a duck pond here, right, and build the dam. He did it, and I don't know, I assumed looking at it. So I went down the woods
Now
where
that's
it's the
coming
brook,
from the pond.
or it feeds into the brook.
That's going across.
And he has it all
the road.
built up with timbers, and
Here's
it's like,
his
you have
house,
just
here's
pipe in
pond,
there, and it
and it goes
just
down.
trickles out from underneath.
Mhm.
so are you
And
saying that
last
if
night
it,
it was
That's
just,
one video.
that's where the brown road's going,
The other
I
one's
mean,
like
that's
that
not
too,
all
but-
the problem, but it's feeding it.
so if it weren't dammed off, then it would drain into this brook down in the
Yeah.
woods instead of the road?
It's going back down into Kelly Brook. There's a culvert down below Scott's, a big culvert, and that's part of Kelly Brook. It feeds, it feeds back into that and goes down behind my house.
Alright.
But last night it was just
Okay.
bad. I was driving up the road and I
Driveway
don't know
made
if I was doing this.
Mm.
And the water's coming down there,
That's
just like
happened
Kelly Brook.
4 times now.
Yep.
We must have
That's the
missed all that
picture.
rain last night on top of the.
I didn't think we was gonna have
Yeah.
a flood problem last night. We got back from Cabela's.
But something's gotta be done.
And
I mean, now the house
the
is
headlights,
busted
I saw the
into
water come down the ditch from the hill, so I stood there and I'm watching it, and I'm like, yeah, and I walked up to Chris's new culvert, and that's starting to fill out, and I'm like,
You
wow,
wanna
this
see
water's
this
really
too?
coming down.
Video?
so. And there's a lot of water, it's coming off the mountains around, up the
That's
hills,
the
so.
driveway, this is the house right here.
Okay. That's all running out of the bottom of the duck pond, you're saying?
Yeah.
And I think one problem is too,
Part of
that
it.
we've had so much rain this year that
We've had a lot of
the
rain.
ground
This
is
is the side of the
saturated,
house
no
with
place
the
for it
living
to
room
go.
and the
That
bedroom.
brook that feeds his pond in front of his house, I mean, and that's Chris,
Oh, yeah.
it's just like Kelly Brook, I mean,
One video.
it's a lot of
That's
water
what
there.
that was.
It gets
And
in
last
bad and
night-
stuff. Then once that pond overfills, it just comes out rounder.
Let's bear with it, I'm
They
trying
keep
to
washing
adjust
the road
the
out, and then
flashlight.
the water goes from the right side of
That's
Brown
what
Road,
it
it goes on
is.
the west side of Brown Road, ends up down by my house, and like I said, Chris just put a big culvert
I'm
there,
trying to
and
get
that
the
was
flash
really,
cell.
the water coming out of that last night was good, it was violent.
Was it-
A lot of water, but he did good.
Has anything been said to him, as far as?
Yeah, I drove up the road,
We've
on the
asked
home from
people
work
that.
today, and I see you washed out your driveway
There's already
again.
something.
Well, my concern is laying on my leach field.
That's
Yeah.
coming from his pond.
I'm in the runway there.
Here's
and
the
stuff,
pond,
but-
here's the road.
Is it also too, if you go up
There's a lot of water.
past
And by the
Betsy
time you get
Tower,
back to the house,
well, I think it's
you
actually
just
a saddle
get your
path.
car out of the driveway.
Yeah,
And
from
as
Runnels
I'm
where,
pulling out, it was already.
he's
up
on
here.
the, historical society, he owns that yellow house on
And then
Saddle
I
there.
took this,
Oh, Peter Sears.
this is where the
Yeah,
water
yeah.
just went through,
And
the backyard.
Look, we're outside the road,
This is the leaching bed right
and
here.
on the edge of his property, on the
All
edge of
that
the field,
sand.
is a pond there.
Yeah.
That it's just, it's not,
And
normally
we
doesn't.
just replaced this.
It is
Time.
there.
Seems like something needs to be
Yeah,
developed.
it's right
And,
now.
money does
Yeah,
not grow
so-
on trees.
Mm.
Can I see pictures too?
Oh, sure.
It's,
Okay.
I'm afraid this weekend is
And
gonna
this
be
is the
the
driveway
disaster.
this morning.
Wash out and,
Side of it.
yeah, that,
That's the leaching
Yeah, the
bed,
hurricane's
leaching bed's
supposed to
right
be-
here.
so I went up there last night, there's no
Right,
water
leaching
going.
bed.
I mean,
That's
it's really gushing in there, and it ain't
Okay,
when it comes
driveway,
in,
we
it's
just
full.
did them fix the driveway
It
5
comes
times
out,
now.
yeah.
as fast as it's coming in.
Okay,
Now, Chris did tell me,
all right.
that,
You'll have to bear
before we
with me,
come
because
to the
I'm trying
meeting,
to
that he's
get the
gonna be working on
flashlight
that.
to work.
He lost a
I just got. the
grader
phone.
today, so
Okay.
he's got a
That's
new
house pond.
tractor coming tomorrow.
The water coming
And
down.
he's renting, so he did say he was gonna be up there and. I-
The flash will be coming on in a
I
minute.
wasn't sure if there was more people coming at like 7:30.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't want to walk it
Okay.
50 minutes.
Hey, there
All
you
right.
go, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, that's the
See you,
flash
Sarah.
work. That's the water coming out of the pond.
Is there a way that he could take a few
And by the time we got back to the house.
timbers out of that dam, and to kind of release it a little bit when we know that we're gonna have significant rain, and then put it back when it's dry? You know what I mean?
It
Like an
flows
overflow.
over stone.
Excuse me.
So the timbers are on the back side to hold the wall up. On the front side where the pond actually is,
And I have one more
dirt,
video.
and then has a spillway built for it to flow. The problem is the water comes down faster than what the spill will take, what the spillway takes.
What's different about the water? I mean, you got the same amount of water going through that you did before.
May first, right?
That hasn't changed. What's changed? I mean, not,
That's.
I don't know.
how come there's more water?
I think it's more water in
This
the
happened
ears
5
in general.
times
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is coming
I
on.
was
I think
told
it's,
he don't
I
know.
think it's the bursts of
Not
rain that
all
we're
of
getting,
that,
that, you know, the half an inch or 3/4 of an inch in 10 minutes, or 45 minutes an inch or 3 inches. And I think that's, the burst is what's actually causing the issues. It's the short bursts of rain that we're getting, not the rain in general, because the normal rain
My
doesn't
back will
bother.
say thank you.
When you think about all the storms you've had and how many times you've had to replace the.
That and the water,
sides of
that and the ground's
road.
so saturated, it doesn't absorb it.
Okay, good. I was up there on, Storm Elliott, looking at it coming down.
I mean, this is our brand spanking new
Yeah,
shed that we just bought.
yeah.
It was like that last.
Last night when I saw it, I'm sorry, you guys, if I was in charge, I would have had a backhoe there last night busting his ankle. You guys had the, you gentlemen had the right to do that. That's a stream, you gotta be, instead of you buying a town road and placing a road like that, it's not all the problem, top, that's what I see, the number of times I've been up there, and see it wash out where the water's coming out of it, it's that pond. Last night it's coming out of the corner.
Well,
I was told he built it like where Dale's sitting, at the end of his pond, it's supposed to run over. You go down in the woods, well, it don't. It comes out on that corner, and it takes out ground root.
well, I don't know about just go busting things open, but the,
Well, according to the state police in, Augusta, you gentlemen has every right to do that.
okay, well, we'll.
Statute 23, I think it's what it is.
You gotta call Dave Laurie on that.
No, they don't, they told me, they
landowner
said it's
is
the state.
liable for changing the course of water on his land. I think that's what applies here.
Oh, okay. So it is,
The landowner is liable for changing the course of water on their land for the damage done by the water once it leaves his property.
so it's, so he's liable for the damage to the road.
Right.
Um,
Plus the damage in the.
I'm gonna say this, I've got a friend of mine who lives in Stanford. He's going through the same scenario that I'm in, the same scenario. But he lives in a pasture, he just bought a house 5 years ago. And the town went down through, did some trenching, and he come home one day and his, off the right side of his house, which is long line / field, was flooded. Well, then he went into his house, his basement was flooded. So he said, I'll fix this, and he put a swale on the right side of his property out to, well, it's a river. And then over the river, there's a main road, town road. Well, he put that swale in, and it kinda washed out something on his edge of, I guess on some town land or something. The town of Stanford showed up and said, Larry, you're gonna pay for this. He says, no, I'm not, it's your water, I'm going to my house. And so they settled on, he bought a load of riprap, and they bought a bunch of rocks, and we fixed the water drainage, and I guess they actually helped him do the drainage. But I mean, he did the same thing, he put a swirl in, and they told him, they said, like he said, you start moving water around and damaging other people's property. Or blocking the stream or something, you're liable. I guess that's what happened, his neighbor, he had some water trouble or something, you know?
Okay.
So,
what's your name?
Richard,
Richard
Smith.
Smith? Well, thank you for coming in, for one thing. We'll do some research and see what it is that the rights that the town has to address the issue.
How to go about it.
And how to go about it. You know, I'm of the feeling, but I may be wrong, is that this issue's come about because of the amount of rain we've had this year.
There's a bother before this year.
it's raining hard out there, the brook that's feeding into it. It's cranking, I don't know, how much does that culvert hold, because you said 12,000 a minute or something?
Yeah, the 2 foot
Okay,
culvert.
do that
If
math,
it's properly.
goes into a square box, it
Yeah.
fills up.
Well,
They don't drain out fast enough.
that's what I say, but it always has until now. And, so anyway, we'll take a look at it, see what we can do, if the town has some recourse, to, force the owner to change something, or if there's something that we can do to, you know, change the water. Some of it's coming off the road, I guess, some of it's coming down the stream, some of it's,
Yeah, there's a stream there, but,
yeah.
well, I saw it last night, and the water, it's just, cause he's got a stream up by his house, there's one down below it between him and me, then it runs down the left side toward me, and the stream just filled.
Yeah.
Is it possible, Richard, that this wasn't noticed before because your house is what, 4 years old?
Three.
When the house was built, don't forget, we was on a drought back then. Okay, we had 2 or 3 years, 4 years of just mild rain,
Right.
storms, and good old fashioned rain.
Yeah.
Now we get these heavier storms.
Right, that's what I say.
But there's been an erosion, and people building up in Saddleback, and
Yeah.
Well, we have also been told too that that has been a flood zone years back.
We'll look we'll look and see what we can find for records and.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
My back appreciates it.
I'll check the state statutes on responsibility for moving water, the course of water. Yeah, no,
The
Chris
driveway
knows all
is
about this
washed out,
stuff,
yeah.
he's been right at it all summer. He didn't get to do much road repair as he normally do, he's patching culverts all summer long, ever since Storm Elliott last, 23rd of December.
So we used to talk about that,
That's
you know,
the 24th,
two
Christmas
steps
Eve.
forward, one steps back all the time.
Yep.
And spend 1 week repairing roads, another week repairing equipment.
This is where I'm at now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're supposed to get, what, another 3-4 inches of rain this weekend coming up.
Yeah.
Very well, before the storm's coming in.
Yeah, it's supposed to be heavy rain tomorrow, tomorrow afternoon, thunderstorms.
It used to be, if you get a heavy rain, some of it would soak in, but there's no place for it to go.
Especially this time of year, it's pretty dry.
Yeah, I got a vernal pool at the end of our driveway, and it's usually by this time of the year, it's just, you know, maybe 2 or 3 inches in it. I've never seen it so full in
Yeah.
my whole time I've lived there,
Yeah.
45 years.
Yeah.
It's way out into the woods.
Yeah, I believe it. Our brook is still up over the dam on Wigan Road. That's usually pretty dry. Another, Saddleback Road, you said you was gonna address that too tomorrow.
I was planning on addressing it today, but
Yeah.
equipment has a mind of their own.
Yeah.
As soon as I can get the grader fixed, I'm gonna be headed up there, but I'm also when we work our way, we're gonna work our way right from Brown Road, right over Saddleback and back down with the machine.
Yeah.
Getting ready to tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit before I get there, but I'm gonna try to get the guys up there to put some gravel, try to get it a little Band-Aid up.
Yeah.
With what we can with the backhoe.
Make it a little smoother going, bit
Or
down that other
with the
hill,
bucket
around
there.
that corner.
Yeah.
Especially around that corner.
And we've never had a washout problem until they built that house on that corner.
Oh. Yeah.
And I think he even said it in his email, is he's like, until they put that driveway in that corner, we've never had that issue.
Oh. So
And I have yet to catch him doing it, but 99% sure he's the one that goes out and takes his tractor out, and regrades the road with the sand out of the ditch, and tries to smooth it all up. Oh, I'm trying to get it done, and I'm sure that's, they can hear him saying. Because every time I go up, I see more tractor marks up in the drive, down the road, and basically the length of his property.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's him, but, that's a whole nother legal issue for another day.
Yeah.
So, but it's never, right, but from what I've gathered from everyone, it's never actually washed out that hard until he put that driveway in. Cause he tore into the vegetated material, and now it's not.
Right.
So now it washes hard. But we're gonna try to get up there, try to get some of the big holes and dips and divots and trenches filled in with the loader, hopefully tomorrow morning, that's my goal,
Okay.
along Mountain Road.
Mountain Road. Okay. You guys got anything else? All right. We got Andrew Davis, Sebago Fiber. How you doing?
How you doing? Can we use your screen, is that possible, or do you want to set up a projector?
There's
We brought a projector with us.
you can project here, but you might do better with the TV.
Gladly give me one. Thank you for the flexibility and time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I looked at it, that one's half plugged out.
Yeah, it's smashing.
I know, I saw
Well,
that.
that was the plan, the backhoe ram started leaking, like I said, so every time you took the outrigger down, you go.
I just came up tonight and Jim asked me about video. He said you guys want a video. So last night I saw this phone, and I said, oh shit, I'll go tape it. And that's, didn't mean to rash you on your phone, I just thought you might want to see it.
Nope.
I know you did leave it. It was raging all the time, that.
Oh, yeah, it comes over the corner.
They opened up.
So, yeah.
I think 90% of the water down was, what I could see last night is coming from that area.
Yeah, I
That
don't know.
could be drilling it, that's cranking. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
big time.
Yep.
It was violent.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks, bud.
Yep.
If there's anything I can do to help you out, I mean, in my land, you know.
There you go, you're up.
Touch my land or whatever.
We need a laptop to do that. We got one. Yeah, I wonder.
We have buses down there.
So there's my phone numbers on there and so forth.
Well, thank you very much. Here's that, by the way.
Okay.
Thank you.
See?
Sorry.
Did we, oh, you moved seats.
Yeah, I'm gonna be able to. I'm Bob Flint, by the way. I'm
Bob, Andrew Davis, nice to meet you, thank you for calling us here today. So I'm Andrew Davis, I'm the owner of Sebago Fiber. I've got Clara McCool from GP Cog here, and Brandy Shido of Sebago Fiber. So I'm gonna hand it over to Clara and let her give you the history of broadband from the town of Sebago, your neighboring town, and the area.
Hi everyone, I'm Clara McCool. I work for the Greater Portland Council of Governments, GPCOG. We are a regional planning agency serving towns in Cumberland County on a variety of issues: sustainability, transportation, housing, and broadband. So we've been working with towns in the Sebago Lakes region for the past couple years. So why is high-speed internet important? This is something that I think we definitely all know now, especially after COVID and having to be remote for so many things. It's really important to access online education, participate in the workforce. Telehealth is very important, especially in rural communities where you might not be as close to your primary care physician. And then, you know, a lot of civic engagement is starting to go online. So meetings like this, maybe people want to start attending via Zoom. So allowing people to participate that way, and then also for your small businesses. So with all this in mind, back in 2021, the Cumberland-Oxford Lakes Area Broadband Project was formed, CoLab, at the request of a bunch of town managers who felt as though their residents were not getting reliable, dependable, and universal internet access. So they started to work together as a group to try to identify a solution. So currently this group is made up of Casco, Naples, Sebago, Standish, and Raymond, and their universal goal is to identify a reliable, future-proof broadband solution for their communities. So these towns have been partnering with us, GPCOG. We've helped sort of facilitate meetings and project manage. We've also been working with Mission Broadband, which is a broadband consultant that has been offering expertise to the communities. And last fall, we applied to and received a state grant to help further community engagement efforts. So over the past year, we have issued a request for proposals to internet service providers across the state and the country to invite them to respond with their solution for how they would serve this area. So we had 5 internet service providers respond: Charter, which is Spectrum, GWI, Sebago Fiber, Consolidated Communications, and Surtex. So each internet service provider offered sort of a different model of how they would go about pricing and what sort of business model they would have. And the steering committee that was made up of select board members and town managers from each of these towns decided that they wanted to recommend the private ISP with a municipal partner model, and that was the Sebago Fiber decision. So we went through as a committee, met every other week for the past couple years, and over the past year we were really interviewing internet service providers, evaluating these options, and the committee settled upon Sebago Fiber as the recommended solution. So that is what we're here to talk with you all about today. how that looks in Sebago and, how Sebago Fiber is proposing building out into Baldwin.
Thank you.
Question for you. So what is the private ISP with a municipal partner?
That will
I will
be, yes.
explain that exactly to you in the presentation.
All right, good.
The last point she had here was, GPCOG Collab, the steering committee selected Sebago Fiber, and we just came from a meeting in Raymond, and Raymond just selected Sebago Fiber, to partner, doing a municipal fiber model, with them, so I will explain what that means. So a little bit about Sebago Fiber. I'm Andrew Davis, I'm the owner, manager. I've spent 20 years in software in big companies. To be honest with you, I'm sick of working for big companies. I'd rather do something that's much more hands-on. On Fry Island and everything I've done with fiber so far, I'm hands-on from designing on the computer to being up in the bucket truck with the crews building it. So very small company structure. Everything we have today is based on Fry Island. We own bucket trucks. We have equipment there. We do participate in the Affordable Connectivity Program. This provides a federal subsidy to provide free internet or a $30 discount on the higher speed plans. And we participate in that when we're off Fry Island for obvious reasons. They don't need a subsidy. So our team's lean and efficient. We have an in-house staff. We have 2 of the 3 senior people here, myself and Brandy Shido, who leads the marketing and community engagement efforts. We have 4 techs that are part-time that work for us. One of them, our best tech, she's actually from Baldwin, by the way. She's done basically over half the installs that we've done to date. We're supported by contractors, primarily from Lewiston, Stanford, and Casco. So we're very different than these big Spectrums and consolidated companies you're probably familiar with. So what makes us different? It's how we do business. There's no investors, no private equity or big corporations. We treat every dollar invested as our own. Every dollar invested in the company today has been my money, not investment from someone else. And we built Fry Island entirely with private funds. We are taking a disruptive approach based on the things I've learned from software industry. The telecom industry is a bunch of big companies that are old-fashioned telephone companies. They do things one way, and that's the way they do it. And there's different ways to approach it. We are very lean and efficient. We like to make things easy for customers. We don't like having our customers wait on the phone, nor do we like having to have a wait line or deal with them that way. We prefer to respond to you however you want to engage us for help. Email, text message, whatever works, get the problem solved quickly and easily. We also publish service guarantees. This is the speed and reliability of the network. We've been working with Sebago and Raymond on publishing guarantees about what the latency is, how quickly it'll get off the network, things that the big providers won't do. Because we're small, we're going to do this. The guidelines we have, we already easily surpass them on our network in Fry Island. We do transparent pricing. The pricing is the same for everyone. It's not like you sign up now, and then up 12 months from now, the price goes up. We publish the prices online, the same price for everybody. We just think that's the better way to do business. So on Fry Island, we had a plan to build a fiber to the home network. Fiber to the home means the fiber comes all the way to your home, versus other networks, the fiber stops one fiber in your town and goes to cable or copper to serve you, and that's why the network's so slow. That's what consolidated DSL is and Spectrum today. They're copper to your homes. We plan to do 60% over 3 years. We began 2020. We did our first build. The first year, basically, we reached 96%, and then this spring we reached 100%. This is by building it in phases based on when people signed up. And basically, the island's done now. As of today, about 2/3 of the internet customers on the island have switched from consolidated communications to Sebago Fiber for service. And there's a whole backlog of more installs to do next week. So we're here tonight to talk to you about an opportunity for what's called a Main Connectivity Authority Connect the Ready Cohort 2 grant. There's a bunch of federal money that was given to the state. The state set up MCA to administer this fund. There's an application deadline of September 14th, that's this Thursday. There's $20 million from the Capital Products Fund available. Sebago Fiber is going to be the applicant. That means we're the owner of the network and we're financially responsible. The community partner so far has been the town of Sebago. They reached out to us about 6 weeks ago and asked us to work with them on a grant. In working with that committee, we just figured it would be worthwhile to reach out to the town of Baldwin as the immediate neighbor, and because portions of your town, from a utility and grid point of view, are actually more connected with Sebago than the rest of your town. You've got these big mountains in the center that divide things, and unfortunately there's these artificial boundaries of maps that have stopped these telecom companies from serving your community. And we don't think that's right. We do a private-public partnership. We have one of those signed with the town of Sebago that explains the relationship. These grants require a financial commitment of basically a minimum of $1,000 for Runson Road to a maximum of $1,750. The town, in this case, we're talking here tonight, when we talk about these financial commitments, we're not asking your town to put a dollar forward. Okay, we're proposing to serve a portion of your town, and therefore, since it's not fair to ask the Board of Selectmen or the townspeople to fund something for a portion, our company is going to make the contribution for the areas we're proposing. The way these grants work is the award criteria is almost weighted cost benefit thing. They basically look at the total cost of the project minus the financial commitments, divide by the number of eligible locations. And it becomes a competitive thing between all the different places in the state. By us putting forward the maximum financial contribution, it helps lower that top side of that equation and makes the project more competitive. So this is the map that the state agency MCA uses to track availability of internet. So I guess this isn't going to work on here. I'm going to use my finger to point, that's okay. So you can see the boundaries of Sebago here. Blue dots are underserved, meaning they have cable, they have spectrum. It's not the fastest, but they have some service. The red dots, you know there's two colors of red, are unserved or no connection, okay? So in Sebago, they have mostly cable TV and they have some little pockets of unserved homes. In North Baldwin, there's an entire area right here of 144 homes that basically is completely unserved. At best, they have consolidated DSL. At worst, they have nothing at all.
We get consolidated,
Yeah.
That's where I live.
The only homes in this portion of Baldwin that actually have, that are blue are four that are up here that come off a road in Sebago. That one's a data error, because we drove by it in person, it doesn't have cable TV there. So the area we're talking about tonight is this area, North Baldwin, okay, which is 144 homes, 135 of them are unserved. The other area we're talking about is a little cluster of Baldwin right up here, okay, that you can only get to from Sebago and Hiram.
Pantherville.
What is it called?
Pantherville.
Pantherville?
I live there.
Yeah.
I live there, and there's another house there that's worth well over $1 million, so please don't degrade the area I live in. Very hurtful.
It's always been that way.
I don't care what it is.
So, this area here is this little piece. To reach this portion of the town of Sebago, on this lake here, we have utility wires come through your town. They then go into Hiram. They go up here called Butterfield Lane, and over to this area. So in order to reach all of Sebago, which we're trying to reach a goal of universal coverage as part of the grant, we need to pass through this area. Okay, so any place we pass by, we would like to provide service to the homes, especially since they're unserved. So those are the two areas we're talking about tonight. So we're proposing to expand the grant area from the town of Sebago's boundaries to include these two areas.
I'd like it.
Glad to hear it. That would be 159 homes. That is not your whole town.
Right.
We can talk about how to help the rest of the town, but most of the rest of the town is blue dots where they have spectrum. And there's further things that can be done there in the future. But as part of this Sebago Fiber, we provide the maximum financial contributions around $236,250 to do that. So we'll put the full funds forward for the grant for the town of Baldwin. So let me just talk to you about our approach. We don't always build out a full area. If there is a grant in the area, the grant will require us to do universal coverage in that area. In areas where there's no grants and other projects, we do what's called demand survey, where we do a survey with the town to see where the interest is. And that builds community support and outreach, and then it validates street by street where there's interest. It tells us that maybe you might be the one person on that map there that I know signed up already, because this has been going on organically. So we launched a demand survey in the town of Sebago. Before we could even speak to you, some people from the Sebago Farmers Market heard about it, and they started signing up, so we can show you the data for your town already. So we use that data street by street to basically inform our investment decisions, where we put our private capital and invest that to develop a phase plan. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brandy, and I maybe should give her the previous slide, sorry.
That's okay, which is fine. So, as Andrew said, one of the things that we start with is a demand survey. So we want to know where people want to have service.
So this is an example of a survey that's already been out there for about a month in the town of Sebago. We ask people who their current providers are, satisfaction rates. We tell people the pricing on here and ask if they'd be interested in any of these plans that we offer. The pricing on here, we're offering a $0 affordability plan for the ACP eligible customers, a $75 plan, and then there's a $100 and a $150 plan. We also give people the option to say no thank you if they're not interested in our services, which is fine. And then we ask them for their address so we can confirm where they live and what services are available. They don't have to provide contact information, that's entirely optional at this stage. So far, in the town of Sebago, and there's actually some respondents from Baldwin as well, we've gotten, well, this might be a little outdated for last couple of days, but we had in the first 27 days, 219 responses, and almost a quarter of those were from year-round residents, which we feel is really important to capture those people. And it was geographically distributed throughout the town. Only the red X's were people who said they weren't interested in Sebago. That was only 6% of people that responded. And you can see, it's a pretty broad distribution, and there's quite a few respondents down in here where there's, where you see those little red dots, which are unserved areas.
That's the Baldwin area.
Exactly. So we didn't reach out specifically to the town of Baldwin. We started posting things, and the Sebago Broadband Committee started posting things on Facebook and different social media places. We put out road signs in Sebago that you may have seen, and we visited, as Andrew said, the Sebago Farmers Market about 3 weeks ago, and we ended up speaking to a lot of Baldwin residents there, and then this data grew from that. So just those couple people who came by spread the word in their areas. So there's definitely interest here, and this we expect to continue to grow. So just an idea of the things that we are doing, working with GPCOG, we're doing a lot of community outreach in these areas to get the word out from a digital perspective, but also using things like email, print, road signs, putting flyers in town offices. We want to reach those people that don't have a connection or aren't online all the time, and going to those in-person events. So while the GPCOG activities don't necessarily impact Baldwin specifically, Sebago Fiber will make sure that we cover these areas of Baldwin, should you desire that, with our community outreach as well.
So in GPCOG, they have planning funds that are doing that, but our proposal to Unite, if there's interest, we will just cover the cost of doing this outreach, and we'd love to work with a member of your community to plan how that outreach should happen. That's a big part of the component is, how do you want to engage, whether it's you, a broadband committee, or you, the board member who has feedback. Tell us how to reach the people within this area that may have an interest, because we find that the digital media alone just does not reach people.
We want to know, does everybody go to a specific event in the fall? Do you have a fall festival we can attend? What about schools or reaching out through other community organizations? You tell us how best to reach people in your town, and we will make sure that we put forth the resources to do that. Andrew mentioned we also participate in the federal ACP, Affordable Connectivity Program. So this provides funding for families or individuals who may not be able to afford their own internet service, may have to go to the library or things like that, so that they can actually access the internet in their homes. So I don't have the number for those unserved areas of Baldwin, or in general right now, but we can pull that data and give it to you to let you know how many households are estimated to be eligible here. But we'll also make sure that we're reaching out to those people. So doing our community outreach activities in ways that we can let people know that this program is available, and help them sign up for it, so that we can really bridge that gap. Before we go through the timeline, you asked about the partnership with municipalities and how that works. I'm going to let Andrew cover that, and then go to the timeline.
She had cut this slide running earlier to keep me brief, but now she's giving permission to show it. So what we're doing with Raymond and with Sebago is, in both those towns, they have a need to connect their municipal buildings, okay? When we, municipal partnership, we look at the town as our first customer. What do you need to connect all your buildings together? And one of the most efficient ways to do that, if you're putting a fiber network in, is to do a municipal dark fiber network. Dark fiber, it's not scary like the dark web, it just means that you own that fiber and you can run light over it and do what you want to connect the buildings, and you connect the buildings directly. It's not like you're going to Portland and back. It also gives you resiliency in the event of emergencies, that you can definitely get data from this building to your DPW location, or if your DPW wants to have cameras there and have them connect on the same network back to your town office. You can do many different things that way. So when we do, if towns are interested in a municipal fiber partnership, what we do is we meet the town manager or your department heads, we go through your building list, what are your needs, and then we build a plan for how to connect those together. We discuss how those municipal needs can complement the fiber to the home build out to your residents. And the common pattern we see, and this is a picture from Sebago, is that in the center of Sebago, for example, you guys are down here, there's not a lot of homes along right here between their DPW building and their town office.
I think your next slide has
Oh, sorry.
on it.
Yeah, I'll show you this slide. So you can see in this area, the homes are sort of distributed around the lake in different areas. There's not many homes right along this road. That road would be very expensive to build and not commercially viable from a fiber to the home perspective. But because the town wants to do a partnership and they're going to invest some money to help build that, then it makes the project work. We find the same pattern works in all the towns around the lake, and that's what Raymond's going to do. Raymond wants a municipal fiber network. They talked to us tonight about a ring that they've wanted for multiple years that we're going to build as part of the project, and then the funds from that will be offset by some of the fiber to the home. So basically, fiber to the home and the municipal fiber end up sharing the cost of that ring of the network and makes the project viable. So that's an option with, if you guys want municipal network covering the rest of your town. I have not had a chance to review all the locations of your buildings. We're glad to do this when you're interested in. But tonight, between now and the 14th, which is 2 days, we're really focusing on grant opportunities. And that's a portion of your town. But if you want to discuss how Sebago Fiber can reach the whole town, we're glad to do that. We're discussing a municipal partnership. Did I answer that question from earlier?
Thank you.
We'll pull the numbers from ACP. The thing I will mention, you actually have two separate ACP regions for East and West Baldwin that we'll go into detail and pull the numbers up. We actually can track from the survey. We ask questions if you are getting free internet already, or would you like to sign up for free internet. We're trying to figure out, did we reach those populations, and that's sort of a measure of have we reached them or not. And we know already that the social media webs are not reaching those populations, and therefore we need to do more offline, traditional face-to-face. You'll find what's different about our company is you'll see myself and Brandy, the principals and owners of the company, in the field, talking to residents and engaging. I don't think you'll find that from Spectrum or Consolidated. So the timeline for us is we have a grant deadline this Thursday. These awards, hopefully if we're successful, will be announced on November 17th. It is a competitive grant award. There's 20 million, there'll probably be 45 million or more of applications, so it will be competitive. If the grant's awarded, November through December will be contract finalization, and we will start pole surveys in the field of the actual utility poles. January, we do pole licensing and a low-level design, which means designing how fiber goes between the poles. We do material ordering. February and March, we'll do what's called Make Ready, which is working with the pole owner, Central Maine Power, and Consolidated Communication, who's the joint user, the telephone company, and make the poles ready for our fiber to be attached. We're very good at this process. On Fry Island, we replaced like 42 poles, and I paid for 2 of them, which saves you a lot of money if you spend the time to learn that process. April, May, and June, we do construction along the major roads. We do strand, fiber hang, cabinets. We build a central office, which would be right over here in Sebago, and then the fiber would come down, feed into this area from here, based on there's no poles connecting here or here into that portion of North Baldwin. So we construct along the major roads first because we want to get this done before the area gets really busy in July and August. And then we would do activation on a rolling basis or street by street across all the towns that are part of it, being Sebago, Baldwin. There's a little tiny piece of Hiram in here as well, the third town. But it wouldn't be like we do Sebago first and you guys second. We would literally look at the sign-up sheets, and wherever the most people signed up is where we're going to go first. And then July through December, we repeat this until we get everybody up online. So next steps, we're asking for you guys tonight for a letter of support. to include North Baldwin in the grant application. That's all that's really required. We don't need to put up any funds. We just need a letter of support saying this leads the community, support the project, and then we'll put forward the funds for that and take it forward. And we'd really love to continue to engage with the town, and, you know, build a relationship and understand your needs and find the right person to work with to continue the demand surveys, that we're willing to do, so. Questions?
My opinion is, if you got somebody who wants to come in and provide service, and there's a market for it, go for it. I was looking yesterday at, our Spectrum franchise agreement, and it's a non-compete. I don't think we're even talking about the same thing. They're cable TV, this is.
Correct.
Internet service. I think it's just, go ahead and go for it.
Sounds good to me.
I've got your draft letter, and I can polish it up in the morning, I guess, and bring it down here for us to sign. It's pretty straightforward. It's a little bit of a short rehash of what you mean, and it just says that we support the project. So.
Yeah.
What happens in a major storm, you guys are capable of replacing?
Yes. So you guys know that microburst last summer that hit Standish? The one that unfortunately killed the young girl over at the campground?
Yeah.
So that storm hit there, it then came straight across the lake, hit Fry Island. It took 600 feet, okay, which is about 3 spans worth of power, telephone, and our fiber, demolished the poles to the ground, okay?
Wow.
It was Thursday afternoon, I was off island coming back. Just to get back to that location, it took, working with CMP, so I got back on the island, it took CMP and their tree crews about 14 hours to clear the trees to just get to that location.
Wow.
We then worked with CMP we had our equipment on the island, and we have contractors on call, okay, to do everything from put the fiber back up to do splicing, things are damaged. That area was, of course, the middle section of our network was demolished to the ground with a pine tree that was this big, okay? And in the design work, working with one of the engineers that I worked with on it, he said, this is the major tree that can take down your whole network. If this thing comes down, you're done. It came down, the tree demolished everything to the ground, broke 2 poles, and the fiber was there underneath it just fine. So we stayed up, our network stayed up running the entire time. Okay, there was no power to the island for close to 36 hours. Our network stayed operational the whole time because we had invested in generators and battery backup. And we put that in all of our locations. Our preference is to do solar and battery backup where we can, if there's sunlight available, so we're hoping to do in Sebago, because solar and batteries is more reliable than a generator, not always starting. So 14 hours in, we finally got to the point where the Lucas tree crew could sit there and cut that tree that was over the fire. We got that cut. That got cleared out of the way. Then CMP had to bring in a new pole, set that pole in the ground, and then they came down to another pole, which is over a 45-degree angle. And they decided, well, this pole's still in one piece, let's try to pull it back up. Well, the problem was the anchor ripped out of the ground. So they put a new anchor in. 12 hours after a shift from the first crew timed out, there's an anchor set, the next crew comes and they put that on, yanks it out of the ground. Okay? They don't have CMP doesn't have a digger derrick on the island. The foreman there told me, because we're working hand in hand with them to make sure our stuff isn't damaged, and our crews are waiting to come to fix anything that are needed. Normally CMP would put things back up, they tie everything back up and leave, and it'd be good enough. But in this case, CMP got that pole sort of straight, but said, well, this anchor's not holding, you can't put the communication wires back up. You can't put Consolidated back up, and you can't put Sebago Fiber back up. Okay, that's what they told me. And I called Supervisor Bob up in Bridgeton, and he said, sorry, Andrew, I have no equipment available to you. We're going to leave this as it is. You're going to be on the ground. Literally, just like across the major road on Fry Island, you couldn't drive by it. And I said, thank you, sir. I said, hey, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. I called my subcontractor in Lewiston, said I need a digger derrick, I need you to bring a power and bucket truck, and a ledge rig. Okay, a ledge rig can drill into the ground. And I said, I need you over here. And he said, I'll be there in 45 minutes. He expressed him on the ferry, brought him over. We started Friday night around 5 o'clock. By midnight, we had placed new anchors, and when I called CMP back, I said, do we have your permission to take over all repairs, including CMP's repairs? And he said, yes. And I told him, well, his equipment is coming, here's just to do the work. He said, go ahead, you have permission to do all the repairs, including CMP's. So we put a new anchor in the ground. The crew that did it set all the anchors in front islands, they actually knew what they were doing in the rock and how to get them set. They did that, we replaced the guy for CMP, we straightened the pole back up, we put everything back together. We then hung consolidated equipment back up, and ours. We've done it for the pattern, we do the repairs for them now. So, I think we can handle storm repairs. So, sorry for the long answer to your question.
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah, no, I was just curious, I mean, like your coverage area you said was Fry's Island, Raymond, Sebago.
We have a plan to basically go all the way around the lake
Okay.
within the next 5 years. So, you know, the portion of Baldwin is a natural extension of the town of Sebago, and that's the way we will staff it, and work it as, you know, just reaching out to that area. And then the other portions of Baldwin are really more a natural extension of Standish in the Steep Falls area. So if we end up building the Standish there, then we could expand up into that area.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
And, I'll crank up the letter and we'll, try to get it emailed to you.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Do you need a formal motion for your town clerk's records or anything? Because we do have to turn these things into Main Connectivity Authority as the documentation.
I move that we sign a letter of support for the, extension of fiber internet to North Wallen.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good system.
Cool. Thank you.
Now your plan isn't to override like existing Spectrum customers that have.
No, so the way it works in the poles is, we will run new fiber on the poles. We will be the lowest attacher in your area. So Spectrum, so there's power, neutral, 40 inches of gap, there's Spectrum, then there's consolidated. We will attach 1 foot below consolidated throughout the area. And we don't touch any of Spectrum's wires coming into those areas. We run a new drop fiber from the pole to the house. So.
How many wires can be run on a pole? I mean, you know, I'm thinking of like the Channel 8 tower, you know, self towers, you've got all these different, you know, areas.
There's standards that, we have, all our work is inspected by CMP and Consolidated as part of the process. And we have a full attachment license in the state of Maine, we have attachment agreements with all of them, with all these rules that we have to follow. We're pretty good at this. We got Consolidated inspected our plant on Fry Island, so we have the gold standards for make ready. So make ready is getting the pole ready to have enough room. The poles within your area, especially the ones in North Baldwin, those areas, they've got plenty of room. There's no Spectrum on them, there's no cable TV. There's plenty of room, we can move in and get it done pretty quickly.
There's a lot of new poles going through there, they just replaced a lot of them.
In North Baldwin, on the road coming from Sebago to Baldwin, it's the Baldwin pole.
Yeah.
Which has plenty of room.
Yeah.
They're gonna replace my pole.
Thank you very much for your time, we really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Is the person from your board we should work with for community engagement, is that you, Bob, or what?
He's more techy than I am.
So, Brandy.
You is the chairman of the board, but I remembered your, email the other day after the selectmen's meeting, and I said, okay, I'm gonna reach out to him and just see what it is, so. Okay. I will, say, I'll get the letter polished up and in for signature tomorrow.
Okay.
And, I don't know if you other two can drop by and sign it sometime in the afternoon.
Yep.
And then Robin will email it up to you.
Okay. And you're the town clerk?
No, I'm the admin assistant for the select board.
Okay.
Debbie, Wakefield is the town clerk.
Okay. Nice meeting you. If you could shoot me her email address tomorrow, then we'll be able to make sure we copy that, and any of the slides or anything you guys would like with us, just let us know how we can help. You know, Brandy and Claire, we're running this community engagement and reaching out to Sebago. We'd love feedback from you, the right way to reach out to North Baldwin.
If you can solve that, please let us know. you know, we have a policy, which, you know, I haven't found a statute that says you have to publish in a newspaper. But I've seen it hinted, but haven't been able to find it. But that's what we use, is the shopping guide in Cornish. You familiar with that one?
I'm not familiar with that. I'm familiar with the, public meeting notice requirements, because I've dealt with them on the town of Fry Island. I authored the open meeting policy, which clarifies the Fry Island their requirement. You do not have to publish in a newspaper for a meeting. You have to give appropriate public notice of your meeting as determined by your board.
Right.
So you could pass a new policy that says your official way of giving notice is on your website and posted is on 3 places, 3 buildings, your school building, your town building, and the bulletin board.
Yeah.
You could change your policy, things like that, to eliminate, you still have to give a certain number of days that you determine.
Yeah, so we post in the shopping guide, so that's our official town crier, so to speak. Anything that else that requires posting, like for town meetings and whatnot, we'll post it at several locations in town. But that can change just depending on what we see as what's happening, you know, it's, but other than that, you know, we try to put something on the board out front. We've got a Baldwin Facebook page, do we? Who manages that?
I do, it's just informational.
Yeah.
So we have a link to the survey. We'd love to work with you to get that out on the town website, on the Facebook group. If you have an email mailing list for residents.
Right, so we don't have a Facebook group per se. There is,
Page.
somebody has set up a Baldwin community page that's privately operated,
Yes.
so that might be an option. If you were to reach out to them. Basically, the Facebook page that we have, is just, one way.
Understand.
We don't allow people to interact, so it's just basically another place for me to post information for people.
So we'd love to get a link to the page and survey for the UC Town of Sebago, have it on their website.
I can send you all the info if you wanna
Sure.
post it there. If you guys are okay with us putting up some road signs, you know, especially in the areas that we're looking to target.
We usually post at the whistle stop too, so that's a gathering place.
Can we get your email address? Is it?
Sure.
Here.
Question.
Yeah.
Would mailing to North and East Baldwin, they have their own zip code, 04024?
I don't usually find that mailing things is super effective because it tends to just go right in the trash. But if you guys think that that is effective for your town, then we're absolutely open to that.
A similar tactic the town of Sebago is doing is they're working with Brandy and they have a flyer going home with students of elementary school next Friday. That's something we can do and help defer the cost of that. Just, you know, that might reach the most people because the kids.
Our kids go to a specialized district school.
We got rid of that 2 years ago, so I didn't know that.
Okay, so this used to be your school you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, any type of thing, or if there's a town email list, but, you know, I think we just need feedback from you guys, and
I had heard about it from people in North Baldwin who said, oh, when you're going to the selectmen meeting, mention it to them because it's important.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, it is important, but they were accessing, so they may have even given you information already.
yeah, they did. One woman we met at the farmer's market said there's a North Baldwin auxiliary.
Yes, it's not really the North Baldwin, it's Baldwin.
Okay.
It used to be for the fire auxiliary for the facility itself.
Okay.
Now it is the town of Baldwin.
Well, people have to be paying the taxes this next month. Could we put in in the office?
Flyers or something in the office?
Yeah. I mean, I just think that would really draw a lot of people in, because they have to pay their taxes next month.
Well, a lot of people send in their payments, and some people do come in, so the more avenues, you know, that we have, the better. But definitely, I think that, you know, the shopping guide, and I can put it on the website and, the Facebook. If you feel comfortable reaching out, I don't know who the person is that runs the private Facebook page, that would be another
The
avenue.
Zado, or the Baldwin Community page.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
it's private.
we joined it, and some resident of your town already posted
Okay.
on there, but
Okay.
we didn't wanna cross a certain line, so we had met with the select board and had the discussion about what you want, because we also didn't wanna promise something to your citizens if we didn't have a letter of support to do that. So, you know, if it makes sense, we can get a Zoom call with you or whoever else wants to participate and discuss further on how to do community engagement, because we don't wanna take up all your time tonight. I know you probably have more items to do.
This is very important, it's worth the time, thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And thank you for coming.
Thank you. All right, we'll get started.
All right, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's what we need more of.
Yeah,
We're gonna do it.
right.
Cool.
We gotta get the grant first, but.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, enjoy it, we're streaming on fiber network soon, darn right.
Well, I was under the impression, I mean, that's what Spectrum
They were
advertises.
supposed to, they just haven't done it this way.
What's that?
Spectrum is supposed to be getting fiber everywhere in the state, but they just don't have the power or knowledge, I don't know.
Because they advertise as being fiber optic.
The money.
So,
Consolidated back to the pole at the library, but I don't hear that it's gone anywhere beyond that, and I don't know that there's any access into the library itself.
so that's consolidated communication?
So I know Consolidated has it right out front here, but last I've heard that that it never went live. The infrastructure's working on it, but it's never been completed or went live.
So that's called Fidium.
Fidium?
I think so.
Oh.
Consolidated Communications Fiber System is called Fidium, and they're doing a lot of Fidium, F-I-D-I-M, I believe. And they're doing a lot of, towns and stuff,
Okay.
where towns are building their own networks and stuff.
Oh.
So what
But I don't know,
Consolidated has
I think
now,
it's fiber to the home that Fidium does.
so that what Consolidated has that's existing is DSL, is that?
Well, most systems now are a combination of fiber and copper, as he said, so that you'll put fiber to a node somewhere, and then from there it will be, coax. And so, at my house, I don't know where the fiber connection actually is, if it's down on 113, or if it comes up the street, or if it's right at the box near my house, but it's a coax cable from the pole down to my house. And that's where things kind of bottleneck a little bit, you know.
Right, so that's what my question was about, kind of, I understand that they're looking to run wires where, or infrastructure where it has never previously been. So they've got, you know, a clean situation where they're kind of going to be it besides CMP or regular plain old telephone wires. But if they're looking, if they're one company and, you know, you've got others out there, well, there's GWI and how much, at what point is, you know, can poles handle all of these wires everywhere?
I'm not really concerned myself, and I think there's some value in being first. Lock in the customer base and get going.
Well, it sounds like they're working with Consolidated, so I guess Consolidated sort of figured out, you know,
There's somebody
us
coming to
or
compete,
not.
right. But, you know, there's a whole host of other solutions out there. People can do a lot of things. You know, there's, was it Starlink?
Right.
Even a month.
Like Laura Day has that.
There's, I just got something in the mail for HughesNet.
Yeah, HughesNet's been around for a while.
You can do a, cell phone
That's what I use,
hotspot.
hotspot, I have a MiFi through Verizon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have, well, at both houses actually, because Lehman Road has Consolidated, which is the equivalent, they sell it and you pay for high speed, but it's the equivalent of dial-up.
Oh, wow.
And, my house in Cornish the same way. So, I mean, you can't even, like, Yahoo newsfeeds would take an hour to load.
That's not
So
good.
much less trying to, stream, there's no streaming or anything like that. So basically, Verizon or Consolidated Communications told me, that we really are doing you a disservice to charge you each month. So
Really?
maybe you should look someplace else.
Wow.
In terms of like satellite internet,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a Starlink or
Yeah.
one of those, HughesNet is through like Dish Network,
Right.
offers them. But the problem with that is, and then they sell you unlimited, but it slows down to just
Mhm.
the same speed as Consolidated Communications after a certain point.
Mhm.
So, that's where you're at, but the MiFi works as long as I have cell phone service. So if I have 2 bars, which I'm hard pressed to get in Baldwin,
Right.
if it's sitting where I've got telephone service, then we're good to go. So yes, there are other options, and without it,
You got nothing.
have nothing, that's
Yeah.
right, essentially. So if they can run the infrastructure, then it sounds like it's gonna even surpass what Spectrum offers, but.
So, and there's different price points for different customers,
Right.
so, I'm not talking about this company, I'm talking about you as a individual.
Right.
You might think internet is important, or, high-speed internet, 100 up, 100 down is defined by the state as what we all want to have, need to have,
Right.
which is excessive in my opinion. Then, there's only gonna be a certain set of people who wanna pay for that,
Right.
what it would cost, but, would people pay $20 a month or $30 a month, to get 20 up and 10 down, or whatever, which is what I got for years? It was good enough, I can stream over it and whatnot,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of customers that are available out there. What the uptake is a different situation.
Mhm.
But the thing that I think is valuable about this company is that if you say you want something, they'll give it to you, whereas Spectrum will not. They go right up that road that the guy's talking about servicing.
Right.
There's people who come in and complain that Spectrum will not take the drop from the pole to their house.
Right. Yep.
And
We had to wait till they came all the way down 113 to the other end of Senator Black and then came back over the hill. And by the time they connected to the old stuff, it didn't speak to each other. The technology had already superseded and they had to figure out a way to patch.
So I say is, first come, first people there will probably get the customers and,
But if we can help North Baldwin, that'd
absolutely.
be great.
Because that's the biggest concentration of unserved
Absolutely.
customers.
So it's nice to support somebody that's sort of local too, they sound like they're in Fry Island, they're local, perhaps they can live there, I don't know.
Yeah.
They shouldn't live there in the summertime,
No.
not wintertime, I don't think. Way to get over there.
So does North Baldwin have, as I did with Cornish and on Raymond Road, Consolidated Communications, but it's just mail, out of mail?
Yeah, it's not too bad, like when we were doing Zoom meetings, it cut out on me, freeze up,
Yes.
and I'm trying to keep up with a meeting and everybody talking and anyway. Well,
So basically, it's used for email.
right,
pretty much.
I can, like, stream, Netflix and
Oh, you could?
I got Vision Plus and,
Wow.
but that's the only thing we can do at the time, we can't
Yeah.
play on our phones, it slows right down, if I'm watching a movie on Netflix.
Yeah, see, I couldn't do any of that at all.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I can't watch
No.
a movie,
Like I said, just Yahoo, loading would take forever.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started working here, and you actually click on things and they come up, I'm like, wow, this is a miracle. Wow! This is amazing.
When I moved to Baldwin in 2007, I said, incredible. I've got high-speed internet right here. Out in the woods. We're just lucky that it came down a short piece of Chase Road.
Yes.
It doesn't go all the way to the end, but,
And you're in a spot too where you very infrequently lose power. You're fortunate.
we do, very infrequently.
Yeah.
My sister said, I've got my generator, please get it hooked up right away, and I said, well, I looked at the old generator I pulled out that my uncle had, it had only run 17 hours in like 10 years.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, my mother, when the ice storm was down for days and days, she would come to, because I had the little stone house before Bob had it. But she would bring her dirty dishes and laundry and shower, because we were down for like 6 or 8 hours or something like that.
Gee.
During the ice storm. That was it.
Yeah, yeah. I lived in Wyndham, we was down for a month. You say, I think we were down for 18 days. Yeah.
We down a long time, but we have running water, because we have gravity feed.
Oh.
And we have hot running water too, because the Cookstone, the Queen Atlantic, had a thing that went in it that heated the water.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, you got anything? Oh, what's that? Kathy? Thank you.
No, I think we're doing all right, just, senior lunch on the 20th, coming up, not this, but next Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Got off this close. Okay.
Do you have a full schedule, Joe, at the, planning board?
You know, I'm not sure I have anything for the agenda at all.
Wow.
Good, they don't put through.
We have dueling marijuana dispensaries, maybe. But I'm not sure. I gotta talk to, Don tomorrow. The marijuana thing is just crazy. We've got one who wants to be within 500 feet of the church, and the other wants to be on Delisa Road. Neither are possible. I mean, Delisa's got too many houses on a 15-foot right-of-way as it is, you know. And so it's a matter of whether Don's allowing either one of them to come in and talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
I do plan to yell severely and loudly at the planning board. We have a site walk at Robbins Lumber on Saturday, and I put out an email to the planning board asking who was coming, because I've got something else I'd like to be doing, but I want to know I've got 3 or 4 people that are going to be there.
Yeah.
And what I got was replies from 3 people so far that they can't be there. You know, it's like, you know, come on, guys. We go through this thing where we schedule a site walk. Now is the time to yell and scream and say, I can't be there. Can we reschedule?
Yeah.
No, everybody goes, yeah, that's a good time. Joe will be there.
Yeah, right.
But, no, wait a minute.
Sounds like something.
No, I think what they're saying is, it's okay, because I'm not gonna be there anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right.
Well, on the other side, Joe, it'll go quick if you're the only one that shows up.
We've got beer at half price. We're all out, unfortunately.
Gary, you got anything?
No, I just think that it was really good that you called those people, that you knew about that,
Yeah.
Bob. I mean, it's like, I didn't, she said, they were saying they had signed up, I didn't see
Well,
anything like
well,
that.
how I got contacted was the Sebago Internet Committee sent something to the selectman's email address.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had read it before last meeting, and I thought, oh, I say, okay,
Yeah.
I usually kind of let these things boil a little bit, but then I saw that they needed something by the 14th, so I called them right away.
It was, I thought they were pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, we do have Long Beach Marina public hearing, and then we will take it up at the meeting. in between my yelling at people.
Chris, you got anything?
Nothing that I've already discussed, I don't think. I found a bunch of street signs, I rented an excavator, it shows up tomorrow, and we're gonna try to do a whole bunch of work. Yeah, just can't use a backhoe, but I need it.
You know, wash away.
Well, either that or I'll be gone. Just wash my hands of it.
Yeah. Chad, you got anything? You all down the beach?
Yep.
Okay.
Rough summer, but I got through it.
Yeah, it was a rough summer.
Yep. Chris,
Yes, sir.
did you look through that list of closures candidates?
I did, I didn't think I saw anything that needed to be taken, I think on Winston Road, you saw the residence houses versus the addresses.
Well, I did because, I don't think I had the nodes per se. And the other thing is that a lot of the people who are gonna read that don't know what the nodes are.
No, and that's why I was thinking addresses.
Well, could you do both?
Yeah,
We
I
could.
thought I put the addresses on.
I think it still said Annalise's house.
Oh, okay, that's what it was, I didn't have the addresses, so
Okay.
if you could get the,
So it'd be Barbara and Don Clark's, Winston's. I don't know that.
What if they're not there anymore? That's the problem with using names.
Right, that's why I was saying the address, you would just have to look up their address on, it's the one, Winston's place, whatever their address is up there.
somebody that I talked to this last weekend at
Okay,
the
so-
open house said they weren't sure whether the Winston people want to do this one or not.
I don't know, he stopped me this morning, like I was trespassing on his land, cause I was driving up the road,
Really?
cause I had my truck,
Yeah.
and he's like, stops me right in the middle of the road, can I help you? I said, no, I'm all set. Okay. And he rolled up his window and down the road.
You had your own personal truck?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, maybe we need to get you some magnets.
Don't even think about it. I take my truck incognito for a reason sometimes.
But
So-
the discussion was that they were there last winter,
Correct.
but I had heard that they're not going to be there this winter.
I have no idea. I meant to ask him this morning, but he
Yeah.
stopped me, but I was so taken back by him acting like I was trespassing on his town road.
Well, he didn't know that you were the road commissioner and your own
Doesn't matter,
private
it's town
vehicle.
road.
The thing is, he's a individual who might not get the word about the public hearing. I mentioned it to one of the ladies that was at the open house, they said,
You publish it?
she lives on the road, I
According
said.
to Sean,
Good.
She said that they had told her that they weren't gonna be there this winter, it was just too hard.
Well, that's what I hear, but it's hearsay
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
No, I know, it's just changed your mind.
so you need the addresses for Winston Road from Barbara Don Clark to the Winston house, like Annalise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from there to the end of the road, you know.
Yep.
And I can make those changes, just,
Yeah, just that way, cause I don't even think in the thing it says Don and Barbara Clark, I think it says somebody else.
That's what I mean, if that
Yeah.
changes, but maybe you have
Using
both.
an address, and I think you put the nodes in that one.
on some of them, when I had them, I
Yeah,
put them in.
I think you did on that one, but you left the residents' names in it, and I was just trying to get the address versus, because if it's,
Well, like I said, is, you know, the node is kind of a nebulous thing.
Right, exactly, but if they know the address, then that's, you're using two forms of identification, though, somebody closed this section or this section.
Yeah.
You know, like Merck Road's pretty plain and Jane, it's the dirt section.
And I did find out on the state's website that you are responsible for updating the status of roads from winter to maintenance, closed for winter maintenance to all year round maintenance. The 911 system is where the state gets that information.
So we have a couple to update, right?
Okay,
We can
yeah,
get
I
that
don't know,
going now.
yeah, I don't know if Danielle had done that.
Well, I think the sent you an email, and you can find it in there, and I gave you the web link, I think, that take you right to that place.
Okay.
But there's a form that you fill out, and, the 911 folks then direct it to the state
Okay.
DOT.
If I have any questions, I can call them.
You are the road czar.
I need to get.
For that fact, you increase LRAP money by doing it.
Okay, well, I'm happy to do
By
whatever I
doubling
can.
It doubles it, basically, per lane, per mile, yeah. Like 300 for summer, and if you do it for winter maintenance, if it's year round, it's 600 per mile. That was the last figure I was given.
You need to get her, you need to get her a crown.
No, but I do
A
need.
scepter.
You know that too?
How about a stun gun? I think I need that more than anything. I need to do spur road, get out and walk that and measure it.
Yep.
I know that, I don't know if Google, because it's not because of our terrain. They have measuring tools.
Yeah. Google
that-
Earth works best, I think, yeah.
but they're not accurate because of hills and corners. I mean, if you stretch it out, it's twice as long, like Senator Black Road, you know, because the measuring stick,
Right.
the digital one is
Mhm.
very straight. So, yeah, so I'll have to get out and measure that.
It's
so
an
that we
old
can get it.
problem, goes back to the founding of the town. The swag of the chain and all that,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
That's why.
But I don't think that spur's very long. I think that's doable, so maybe I can do that tomorrow.
400 feet, maybe a little bit longer, I guess.
And then the other one that doesn't exist, that needs to be created is, it was mentioned tonight over, it was mentioned as a hill, but it's a road. What is that? It goes out to Woods Mill from, is it Sebago Road over?
Gilman Hill?
Yeah, that does not exist as far as 911's concerned. So that has to be, I have to physically draw that out electronically with all of it, you know, to the best of my
Is there a fire
ability.
lane out in front of that one? That's not
Fire
the
lanes, fire lanes don't,
Okay.
They don't exist.
they don't exist anymore.
Right.
So somebody brought that to my attention, because I'm not real familiar with the area per se, but I've since driven by, and there is a sign out there that says Gilman Hill Road, but as far as 911 database of their maps of roads, it doesn't exist. So, someone else told me that there's a lot of like four-wheeler,
Trails.
yeah, so how am I to know that I'm going the right way? Is it,
On Gilman Hill Road?
Yeah.
No, it branches into everywhere up there. You
right,
can
so
literally,
how am I to know, you know, when
where
I
it
go out
actually
and
starts? I can
measure?
ask my father, he actually owns the land that's out back of Gilman Hill, and the guy that's just all the cattle is actually tried like hell to shut everybody off of that road.
Right, yeah.
The state's got some land out there, Dean's got some land out there in Patty Wood. My father actually got sick of fighting him and got him right away into behind the Peters pit, because the Peters is actually leases that land off of the cattle guy. He owns that whole side of the road.
Oh, yeah.
And so now there's actually a right of way from the back of Peters Pit to the back side of Gilman Hill. Now, what's considered Gilman Hill, you might have to bring my grandfather back alive for that one, you know what I mean? Like, it's like when people just say, you know, like, there's an area out there we call the blueberry swamp. It's not a blueberry swamp, it doesn't even grow blueberries in there, but at some point, somebody saw some blueberries growing, and so there's different names for different sections of that woods out there.
So I guess it's not a town road, but is it considered, but somebody thought of it as a road to put up, to erect a sign. So, and
Once you
and
get
then when
down-
I questioned, I was mentioning it to somebody else, I don't recall now, but they said, well, we really do need to have it labeled because people four-wheel will go down there, and if somebody has an accident in the woods down there or whatever, they need to know to access them. Kind of like, off from River Road where, that Blaze kids built,
Yeah.
down, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think he has a driveway yet. But he's using the right-of-way, what's the name of that right-of-way? Same idea, I suppose.
The Intervale?
Right, Intervale, what is it called, Intervale what? Something Intervale, isn't it, Riley's Intervale
Yeah,
or something?
Riley's, yeah.
So,
Right.
there's a sign that says Riley's Intervale, and that is known to 911, but yet that goes across, I think, maybe even a piece of Joe's property. So, it's important, I guess, to identify, but it's all across different landowners. And, just so, I guess, if somebody gets hurt on a four-wheeler or whatever, so same idea, but I wouldn't know where to go, or, you know.
I'm assuming that Gilman Hill Road actually stops in that brook down in there. Because then you got Chaplain Camp Road that circles the whole place back around.
Is
Yeah.
that even an address?
No, it's
or
just
road?
names that we have given as, you know, the
Okay.
different areas
Right.
of, so it's, I mean, yeah, my father will know, I mean, I'll let you know, I'll stop in the mall.
Cause I'll actually have to measure it somehow,
Yeah.
and then, because you have to have the distance, you know, whether it's miles or feet or however long, to set the interval. And then if somebody were to ever build off there, then, you know, then you would assign, addresses.
Yeah.
But for now, it would be just an address-less road, but the road has to be put in.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, to me, is a starting point to get out back, because literally there's trails everywhere, you know, once you get out in there,
Huh,
Used to,
literally everywhere.
right, yeah, used to be able to go from there all the way over to Sedago, Dollar Food and Sedago.
yeah, but I think it was one of you guys on the fire department that said it didn't show up, or somebody said it didn't show up, I don't know if it was,
You can go by,
dispatch or somebody.
you can go by trail all the way from that point and out to Delicio Lane, and then their campground, actually, it's,
Yep, right.
Acres of Wildlife borders the backside of, you gotta go to the Blueberry Swamp, that's where the Blueberry Swamp.
Yeah.
Where they don't have blueberries.
There you go, right, yeah.
Probably the Gazette map, the booklet, yeah, the old ones, I don't know,
Yeah.
they still make it, that.
No more,
Yeah, that lists, Gilman Hill Road on it. Also lists the Wolf Hill Road too.
You got one?
I do. So maybe it actually, it might have the distance on it for me already.
Yeah,
I mean, if
Okay, I
if I could
wouldn't-
go by that, I don't know.
I wouldn't, like, consume your, a lot of thought into where Gilman Hill actually ends.
Right.
You know what I mean, as long as you could call it out as a road, because once you cross that brook, it goes this way towards Sebago, like he was talking about. But the cattle farmer kind
Yeah.
of blocked off a lot of it, but they did cut out around it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get out there, you go around Chapel Camp Road, or you go back this way towards the lake, with Mill Pond.
Yeah,
And then once you get to Wood Mill Pond, not even before there, it actually four ways again, there's a network of trails out there.
So even if you get the, rescue out there, they're never gonna find it.
So once they get past that brook, they're not gonna know where to go anyway.
I know Standish has been working with some of the landowners and snowmobile and ATV groups or whatever. Supposedly, when I was talking to Robbie, when we had that accident out behind your father's place there, between there and the campground, that they were trying to identify each trail with an actual name and put it on the map.
Yeah, they
And-
are
And
on,
mile marker.
That'd be cool.
they are on the 911 maps, they're dotted.
Right. Makes sense.
You know, so it kind of gives them an idea from this road.
Surrounding area.
Right. Yeah, but I need a general idea of where it stops and an accurate measurement, because if I'm not here in a year or 2 or 3 or 10, and somebody ends up building out there and they're working on, oh yeah, Robin just said it was 2,000
Yeah, they
feet
can't-
long,
yeah.
you know, so we're gonna give them this number, I might screw up the whole work.
Don't worry about it.
It's the next person's
You're
problem.
gonna get the blame anyway.
Exactly, that's how things go.
If you're not here, you're the one to blame.
yeah, right.
I don't blame Danielle for anything. She did a great job.
See, get anything yet?
Actually I do, but it's late. We do need to, sort out the Channel 8 scholarship stuff before long. And then the other thing is just, because I know that we just have so many things that we deal with too, we have had no responses for the RFP for the walking path.
Okay.
So I don't know, Kathy mentioned Emily's husband.
Carl,
Yeah, but I don't know where we go from here.
I'll just email her again and say, if he wants to crack at it, now's the time.
What about the disc golf people who were all enthusiastic and have all the equipment and could do the job?
Right, that's another
When
possibility.
they were in here talking to us,
What they were saying is they would make a path, they wouldn't recommend where to put it. You know, there's two sides of the coin.
And I think
Did
everyone's
anybody
kind
talk
of
to them
interested in that
directly?
side of the
Is my
road.
question.
Right, kick the
you
can down
know,
the road.
sometimes you gotta, rather than counting on them
Yeah.
to see it in the paper.
Right.
Yeah.
So, called the disc golf,
TW Enterprise,
Oh, thank you.
what is it, I'm sorry?
TW Enterprise out of Westbrook,
How do you know this?
because I remember when he was here.
Wow, you got good memory.
Yeah.
He's young still.
Right.
All right. Okay, so I will see if I can get, I'll go back, actually, it will be in our meeting notes, so I can just go back and look at the notes, I would have
I think
documented that.
They left something on my desk there too.
Okay.
So.
But his name and the company actually would be documented in the notes, so I'd have the contact person.
Yeah.
And Dawn must have a number too,
Mhm.
I would think, if I can't find it online. So
Right.
I'll
Yep.
call them, and you'll reach out to Carl?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it, thank you.
Okay. Anything? I'm all set.
I got one thing. Kind of, sort of.
Too late.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know that the fire department trained last night, and it was phenomenal.
Oh. Speaking of that, I know I should be talking, probably talking to Steve about this, but let your firemen know that we're gonna have a trunk or treat.
I think Steve already knows.
Okay.
And
I just wanna know.
I think they were gonna try to bring a truck, I think.
Oh, really? That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Could
Debbie's
you also
trying to hit
would
up
do-
all that she can.
Huh?
Debbie's trying to hit up everybody that she
Oh,
can.
good, cause
Yeah.
she's getting the word out there.
The
too.
Methodist Church,
Oh, yeah.
the auxiliary folks, I believe, and fire department.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be there. All right.
Lights are already up. They're in the hallway.
They never come down.
You just have to duck.
Yeah.
We heard,
Oh,